A lot of charter authorizers, and there's a lot of charter schools being authorized by nonprofits that may not know a lot about education. So those are some patterns I can tell you about. I don't think I can satisfy you completely with my answer.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. And if you were to design education policy for a state, would you include charter schools, some form of charter school as an alternative?
If you're thinking that charter schools is going to be the silver bullet for improving performance, then I think you're going to be disappointed. But if you're trying to create greater freedom in terms of where families get educated, it could be part of the dimension that you would have as your policy, I think.
So a good tool in the tool belt? A good tool in the tool belt?
I think it depends what your goals are. If you think it could possibly lead to better performance, but there are also going to be charter schools out there that perform very poorly. And it's just whether you want to trust families to make choices, wise choices about their education.
Has there been much exploration of charter schools in small communities? I mean, we talked about Boston, New York, places in Florida and Ohio and others. We're a pretty rural state, and one of the areas that has concerned some folks, if you've only got one high school in a town, you got a small town, you got one school system, how do you have room for a charter? Do you have any comments or thoughts about that?
Right, so charter schools have primarily been an urban phenomenon. It's not been there's not many charter schools in rural areas. It's primarily because people that start charter schools don't see much of a market in rural areas. If they're going to open a charter school and there's only one high school in that area of 500 students, even if they're successful in getting half the population there, you're going to have a high school of 250 students, and that's probably not enough to survive. So they primarily are located in urban areas like Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Chicago, where they feel like they can attract enough students to make a go of it. So I think it's unlikely that if a place like Mississippi had a charter law, that suddenly you would have lots of charter schools in rural areas. That's my impression.
Other questions from task force members? Dr. Barnes, any comments or thoughts or flavor? Dr. Weather? Mr. Chairman? Well, thank you, Dr.
Sure, I
Appreciate your input very much. The next item on the agenda is a presentation by a couple of members of the legislature and Johnson. So, Representative Espy, would you like to make some comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to meet with the task force. Ladies and gentlemen of this body, I want to be very clear. I'm going to speak very clearly and very frank to you today. I had the opportunity to be a part of an education meeting in the Mississippi Delta. And it was educators, superintendents, and some lawmakers. And we were talking about all the new accountability measures that we've done in the recent legislative session. And the interesting part about it, a lawmaker that represents a conservative constituency base stood up in front of that body and said, you know, these new standards, they've raised the bar so high, and they push us to a certain level that's unachievable. And everyone in the room, except myself, agreed with him. The superintendents agreed with him that we've raised the bar entirely too high. And I was stunned, because there is no bar high enough for my 3 children. I want my children to compete with the finest of children across this entire world. And I know I want that for my constituency base, and I want that for the children of the Mississippi Delta. So here we're in a meeting where I'm the only one scratching my head, and I began to reflect, and I was lost for words, Mr. Chairman, because there was no one that was thinking the same way. And I began to reflect on a theory. And it was a little theory that all you guys may remember is Pavlov theory. And if you all remember about the education on this, and when he presented these theories, and he presented a lot of them, he talked about the little dog that was in fenced. And every time that dog went to the fence, he got shocked. Every single time. And guess what happened in his study? Many times that dog got shocked, and guess what? He removed the fence. And guess what happened? The dog stayed confined to the same exact spot. That dog had the ability to roam and be free and reach out there to whatever the world offered that little dog. But that dog stayed confined. I was in that room with a lot of educators in the Delta, and what I saw were confined animals that were afraid to reach out and go beyond. Confined animals. They were acting just like that little dog in that theory. Now I know that's a poor choice of words for this body. It's a poor choice of words. But what do we do? Are we going to act like that particular dog in that theory? Are we going to expand our scope? I mean, are we a part of that study? Does that conditioned response represent us? Does it? See, I was shocked that day when I saw that. And I knew that we were bigger and better than that conditioned response. That if we got shocked and put down long enough, that we would stay in that position. I don't believe that's us. I truly don't believe it. With all of the technology that is out here today, we should be able to reach globally for education. Around the world for my children, my constituents' children, and raise the bar as high as possible. And send us to a new level. Now, some of us may be afraid. And that's what I see, fear. But I can no longer sit by idle and be afraid anymore. And just allow the status quo to exist in education. Ladies and gentlemen, we are dead last in education. You're last. I'm tired of being on the bottom. You guys, in 2008, the House, I introduced legislation, charter legislation. It didn't get anywhere. The information didn't get out there about charter schools, and we're learning a lot of new techniques that we can use in legislation to help our children. Charter can be one of them. And guys, as we move forward through that process, what I experienced is that even in my own caucus, the Legislative Black Caucus, we found out so many things that were just real, tangible things that are so... Here's the example. Even with my own colleagues, what we found out, that as we move forward with charter legislation, there was fear in this legislation that it was going to be a backdoor method for private schools and academies to use public school dollars. Now you guys, everyone in this room is educated. Everyone. We have access to the internet and we can read it for ourselves. We can look at the results and we can show real results that are just simply off the chart. Now, we have other states out there that we're competing with, okay? In the state of Tennessee, in the state of Louisiana, and in the state of Arkansas, there has been a robust discussion, but at the same time, we've been able to find success stories. Now, your president and my president, President Obama, supports charter legislation, period. His Secretary of Education, Secretary Duncan, has brought forward a wonderful initiative. It's called Race to the Top. And in the race